Today we're going to do the first part of two-step equations where the equations tend to look something like this. We can rewrite them if we want to make them look like this, but the whole object is to get rid of P, oops, let me fix that, is to get rid of P and Q, oops, P, not X, and get it down to X, or X equals whatever R is. So we're trying to get rid of P and Q in these equations. And they're pretty simple to do. It's stuff we've already been doing. We just got to know how to do it and what order to do it. And they give us the steps. Steps to solve. Number one, locate the variable. That's always the first thing you want to do. Where is the variable? Okay. And then what is being done around the variable? So today you'll notice after we locate the variable, they're telling us to be pretty specific. Undo the addition and subtraction to remove Q. Okay, so Q is the constant. So Q is the constant. Okay. So Q is the constant. We want to get rid of that first, and it's always we're always able to get rid of it through addition or subtraction. Okay. Then we move on to looking for multiplication and division to remove P. Now P would just be whatever's with the variable. Usually they call it either it could be a coefficient, is usually the number that's with a variable. And let's do that. P is the coefficient. P is And the coefficient is just something like this. If I have 3x, 3 is the coefficient. Okay, it's just the number with the variable. Okay, so let's look at a couple of problems here. I'm going to go through, there's not a whole lot of problems for us to do today, but I'm going to go through and I'll do the evens. You guys will be doing the odds. So let's start here with number 2. So locate my variable. Where's my variable? Well, it's right there. Now, you might see a negative there and you don't see a number. Remember, if you don't see a number in front of the variable, it's always a 1. Okay? If there's nothing there, it's always a 1. If there's no number. If there's no sign, then it's positive, but there's a sign there, so it's a -1 in front of that n. Now, we want to look for addition and subtraction. Okay? So the addition and subtraction, let me put that 1 back in, is the +2. That is addition. I want to get rid of that. So to get rid of it, what's the opposite of addition? Subtraction. And then on the other side of the equal sign, because I got to do these operations, remember, you always do the operations on opposite sides of the equal sign. The equal sign is the center. I never do the same operation twice on one side. Okay, you have to separate them. Remember the seesaw. You don't want to take away 2 kids from one side of the seesaw and leave the other side untouched. You've got to do the same thing on both sides, so I subtract 2 over here. Now a +2 and a -2 on the left, that's gone. It's 2 minus 2, that's 0. I can bring down my -1n. I bring down my equal sign. My equal sign always stays in the center of my equation as I'm working. Don't move. It shouldn't be way over here. It shouldn't be down here. It shouldn't be over here. Don't move stuff around. Keep your equal signs going down, straight down as you work. Then we do the operation on the right-hand side of my equal sign. 7 minus 2, 5. Okay? Are we done? No, because now we've got to get rid of what is thought of as the Q in our steps up here. We got to get rid of the coefficient that is with the variable. And in this case, it's a -1. It's -1 times n is how you would read that. Remember, a number next to a letter or a variable is always multiplication. It doesn't matter what the number is. It's always multiplication. So that is multiplication. You put a little dot there to remind yourself it's multiplication. Okay? How do we undo multiplication? What is the opposite or inverse operation? Division. So we just take whatever's in front of the variable. We don't change signs when we do multiplication and division because we're trying to make a 1, and we do it on both sides of the equal sign. Okay? Negative 1 divided by negative 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. That's what we're trying to get, a positive 1. That's not a negative 1. That is a big positive 1. So now we have positive 1n. 5 divided by negative 1. Well, what's a positive divided by a negative? It's a negative. 5 divided by 1. 5. Boom. There's our answer. Problem here, what's it say right here? Check all solutions. So let's take our answer and plug it in. So let's do this. I'm going to write a negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the equation exactly as it is. Okay? Write the equation exactly as it was. Plus 2 equals 7. You have to be careful about writing your equations. You leave a sign out or make a sign wrong, you're going to probably get this thing wrong. So now let's make some adjustments to our equation to make it solvable. We're going to take out the variable. We're going to leave that negative in. That negative has to stay. In the place of n, we're going to put in negative 5. Okay, so because we found that n is negative 5, so that negative that's already with the n has to stay there. It's like a negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 times a negative 5 plus 2 equals 7. Now we're checking against this side. Does this side equal does the left side equal the right side? Okay, you got to carry this through until you have two numbers that match. So I'm going to erase that. Negative 1 times negative 5. We're distribute, basically. Negative times negative is a positive, so we end up with a positive 5. Plus 2 equals 7. Nothing else has changed, so we keep coming down. Now we got to add those two things on the left. A positive 5 and a positive 2. That is a positive 7. Does 7 equal 7? Yes, so that means our answer was correct. Okay? Let's go through and check the next one. Again, where's the variable? Variable's on the left. Okay, so that m. What is being done to m? So let me read it to you the way this sentence would read. It's a number sentence. M divided by 3 plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so we're solving for something that is going to equal 0. And don't think it's just 0 for m. That's not going to work. Okay, there's a specific number that goes in there. So let's solve this according to the steps. So the first step is locate the variable. We did. It's m. It's on the left. Locate the addition and subtraction that is being done on the same side as the variable. Well, do you see any addition or subtraction? I do. There's that plus 2. Now, you got to get through your head. Positive 2 and plus 2, same thing. It's really not any different. Okay, so we've got a positive 2. How do we get rid of a positive 2 or a plus 2? What's the opposite of plus? Minus. So we're going to subtract 2, subtract 2. Positive 2 and negative 2 cancel. That's 0. I bring down everything else. M divided by 3 is equal to, remember the equal sign stays centered. They come straight down. 0 minus 2, this might confuse you. You might go, well, 0 minus 2 is 0. No, 0. Think about a number line. 0. And I subtract 2, I got to go 2 to the left. So basically it's negative 2. Hopefully this is getting a little bit easier. Again, we go back and look, what is being done to the variable? Well, let's read our number sentence that we have now. M divided by 3 equals negative 2. That is how that is read. It's written, that's how it's written, that's how it's read. So what is the opposite of division? Multiplication. So now we just put a 3 up here, put a 3 over here. Put them in parentheses. It's not optional. Put whatever is on the bottom in parentheses. Again, when we multiply and divide, we don't change signs. We're not doing that. We're always doing opposite operations. That's why we subtracted 2 on the top. It was a plus 2, so we subtract 2. Here we're dividing by 3, so we multiply by 3 to undo it. 3 divided by 3, that's a big positive 1. M equals negative 2 times 3, negative 6. Okay, we got an answer. Now we got to check it. Rewrite your equation the exact same way as it was. Now we're going to take out our variable and put in parentheses. I don't even mind if you just do this. Take out the variable, put in parentheses. This is probably the easiest way to do it. so it doesn't really confuse you. Now I take whatever we know m is and plug it, just substitute it right into that parentheses. Now it's a little bit simpler. So now we carry on. We want this whole thing to equal 0. So negative 6 divided by 3. Well, let's do this. What's a negative divided by a positive? Negative. What's 6 divided by 3? 2. Now we write everything else that we didn't touch, we haven't done anything with yet. It all comes down. Try to keep the equal sign lined up. Negative 2 and positive 2, well, guess what? That is 0 equals 0. Check. Answer is correct. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. And I kind of like that these notes move things around, because you got to get used to seeing things moved around, because that is how they will show up on the CASP. They won't always be in this form up here that looks like this. We can rewrite stuff to make it look like this, and I'll show you in a second how to do that. But I want you to look at these as the way they are, and then try to pull them apart the way the steps tell you. So again, the first step in solving these two-step equations, locate the variable. Where's the variable? It's right there. It's that x that's with the negative 10. Let's read this sentence out loud. 30 equals negative 10 times x plus 10. Okay, that is how that is read. So now we know there's multiplication and addition in there. And what is the second step? Locate addition and subtraction, or subtraction, and remove it. This is not subtraction. That is a negative 10 times x. This is addition. We're adding 10. So how do we get rid of adding 10? We subtract 10 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay? Positive 10 and negative 10 cancel. That's 0. That is what we're trying to do. Is when we're adding and subtracting, we're trying to make zeros to get rid of numbers. When we're multiplying and dividing, we're trying to make ones to multiply by 1. So we have a positive 1. 30 minus 10 is 20. The equal sign comes straight down. The negative 10x, I haven't done anything with it yet, so it comes down. If you haven't done anything with it, it shouldn't disappear. It should just come straight down. Now, that stuff on the end's gone. I don't need to write it. So now we have 20 equals negative 10 times x. What operation is being done now on the variable side? It's multiplication, negative 10 times x. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So we divide by the exact same number in front of x. So it's negative 10 times x, so now we got to divide by negative 10. And we do it on both sides of the equal sign. So let's carry on and look through this. Let's do the easiest stuff first. Let's get rid of this. That's a 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. The x is still there. We got rid of the number, the coefficient, but now we still have the variable left. Now we look to the left-hand side of our equation. Positive divided by negative is going to be a negative. 20 divided by 10 is 2. So now we know what our variable should be, the value of our variable should be. Let's go over here and check it. Again, write your equation the exact same way as it was written when we started. Copy it exactly. Now rewrite it. Write everything the exact same, except instead of writing the variable, make parentheses. Now we're going to write it. Now we're going to put what we found to be equal to x and put that in our parentheses, negative 2. Now we're going to carry through and do our problems. This is a distribution or multiplication. What's a negative times a negative? It's a positive. I can put a plus sign there. It's not wrong. 10 times 2, 20. So we've done this part. Now we just need to move this stuff on the very end, the positive 10 down. Keep going. 20 plus 10 is 30. Cool. 30 is equal to 30. Check. Our answer is correct. So let's move to the final problem. Our final problem, it's kind of difficult to see, but where's our variable? I'm sorry about that. Somebody knocking on the door. Hopefully they will go away. So again, we locate our variable. Our variable's right here. Okay, that is the side I need to work from. First thing we look for is addition and subtraction. Do you see any addition and subtraction? I do. That -9 is technically subtraction. It doesn't have it does not have a variable with it, so it's not multiplication or division. If it's by itself, if it's a constant, it's probably part of the addition and subtraction. So -9 plus 9 plus 9. Okay? That goes away. It's gone. Bring everything else down. B divided by 3 is equal to, and if you want, you could put that plus sign. That's fine. It just tells you it's a positive fraction. -3 plus 9 was -3 plus 9. It's a positive 6. Now again, we look over here. Where's our variable? Our variable's on the left in the numerator. Okay? And let's read this out loud. It's B divided by 3 equals 6. Okay, B divided by 3 equals 6. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. I'm going to get rid of this plus sign to get it out of my way, but so we multiply to get rid of division. Multiply on both sides. That's a 1. Bring down the B. Bring down the equal sign. 6 times 3 is 18. So we have an answer. Now we're going to check it. Rewrite your equation that you started with exactly as it was. Do not miss anything. Be careful on this part. This is where you will, if you write it wrong and then get a wrong answer at the end and you're like, oh, I don't know what I did wrong, what did I do wrong? Make sure you rewrite the equation the correct way the first time. So again, we're going to rewrite it. We're going to take out the variable. We're going to put in parentheses. And then we're going to take our answer over here, plug it in here, substitute it in where our variable was. Then we're going to start doing some work. The -9, nothing happened to the -9, so I bring it down. 18 divided by 3, that's 6, equals -3. Everything else comes down. Now my equal sign's not quite straight lined up. Not a big deal, but try to keep your equal sign lined up. Then -9 plus 6. Well, -9 plus 6, if I do that on number line, I end up at -3. Is -3 equal to -3? Yes. Awesome. There's our answer. Okay? This is the only side we're doing today, part A. You're going to work with your group and do 1 through 7. Don't lose this because we're going to do the back probably on Monday. Okay? So you're responsible with your group to work on 1 through 7 today. Except for 4th block, you will be doing this on your own. So that is it for today.